We're going to be talking about the UAE and naturalization overall in this video. The UAE are going to be the main country that I discuss, even though I fully acknowledge they are not the only country that naturalizes players, but I do think they're one of the worst culprits of what I'm going to call over-naturalization. This was inspired by a tweet I saw from the Asian Games. Shout out to those guys. They do really good work covering Asian football, so make sure you're following them if for some reason you aren't already. It says, quote, 8 of the UAE's starting 11 against Qatar were naturalized players, as were 3 of their substitutes. And then a quote here saying, at some point, questions have to be asked whether it is actually aiding the development of Emirati football. And this whole video is going to be about my thoughts on this tweet, on the UAE, but also naturalization as a whole. And I want to start by saying the idea that naturalization assists in footballing development is ridiculous. And I'm not trying to take shots at the Asian game. I'm just saying anybody who believes that the footballing pyramid in the UAE and the player development in the UAE is getting better now that there are 7 Brazilians in the starting 11, I hate to break it to you, you're wrong. There is no positive impact that naturalization has on footy development in a country. If that was the objective of the UAE, they would be improving their scouting networks to make sure that more Emirati talent is identified and given an opportunity early on in the process. They would be investing in better education for Emirati coaches, making sure they know the latest on sports science, tactics, strategy, all that good stuff. They would make sure that the FA has a clear and organized goal at all levels, U17, 20, 23, and the senior team, women's football as well. And perhaps most important of all, they would be investing heavily into footballing academies such as Qatar's Aspire Academy, which I will be circling to later in this video because I feel like it's important. Before I go any further, if you guys want to see more videos about Asian football, or you just want to see me talk about some of the latest developments in the world of football, maybe not necessarily related to Asia, make sure you're subscribed. And if you guys want to see more exclusive content about DeadBall TV, more one-off videos that I don't drop on the YouTube, you can subscribe to the Patreon. Everything is in the description of this video. A lot of people, I think, are scared to talk about the process of naturalization because I feel like it's a taboo or kind of like a sticky subject. And that's fine. I'll go ahead and be the bad guy. I really don't care. I think naturalization is largely a cancer on international football. And if it's not to be fully eradicated, it must be limited and pulled back significantly as soon as possible to protect the integrity of the game. I'm a person that loves international football more than club. It is not even a contest to me. And I see this naturalization as the attempt of different countries to essentially cheat the game, to cheat the system, to circumvent rules in an attempt to obtain a sporting advantage. And I think that's a load of BS. So that's why I'm calling that out in this video. And I'm focusing on the UAE in this video because they are the most significant national team that are the worst offenders of this. And you guys in the comments, let me know how you feel about naturalization. Is this something that should be allowed? Should it be restricted? Or should it be outright banned? I would love to hear from you guys. The greatest irony about the UAE, in my opinion, is that the greatest period of Emirati footballing success was before the naturalization even started. Y'all, this is maybe something that a lot of people don't know about because you're not obsessed with Asian footy. You don't have a mental disorder like I do, and you're not watching 2011 Asian Cup reruns on YouTube, okay? Japan versus South Korea, that's all I'm going to say. The United Arab Emirates are actually quite a successful national team. This is a team that has made 4 Asian Cup semifinals or better. And that is more Asian Cup semifinals than Qatar, than Iraq, than Jordan, than Uzbekistan, than Bahrain. This is a team that is not irrelevant. And that's why I think this is such an egregious crime against international football. Because maybe if, I don't know, freaking Chinese Taipei were doing this, or if Sri Lanka were doing this, at least, and this wouldn't make it any better, I would still give them all the smoke. Trust me, I'm not pulling any punches for the Sri Lankan subscribers that I have. I would be against it completely. But at least I would understand in the sense that they've never achieved anything in their history, or at least not too many things in their history, and they're just rolling the dice because they're tired of being irrelevant. I would understand that. The UAE are, historically top 8 in Asia? Top 7, they're probably 7th on the list in terms of all-time semifinals at the Asian Cup. Again, these guys aren't scrubs. They're not a powerhouse, but they're not scrubs. They're a tier 2 Asian power. They even qualified for the World Cup without these naturalized players. So they've achieved every single realistic objective that the UAE could ever have from a footballing sense without any Brazilians, without any Africans, without any Argentines. And yet for some reason, starting in 2019, they said, you know what? You know how we're going to take this to the next level? Let's field 8 South Americans in the starting 11. That's what's going to save us. That is what's going to win us an Asian Cup, and that is what is going to qualify us to multiple World Cups. And whoever made that decision should be ashamed, because it's been a failure if you look at the results so far. 2022 World Cup qualifying cycle, they failed to qualify. Yes, they made the playoffs, but they lost to Australia. Asian Cup, lost to Tajikistan in the round of 16, and now in this cycle again, you've gone through to round 5, and if it weren't for expanded World Cup qualifying spots, you would be directly eliminated. Of course, we are still early in this process. I mean, it's year 6. It's not exactly like it started last week. You know, like, you can't compare Emirati naturalization to like Indonesian Dutch importation, because that is actually like a year and a half project, whereas the Emiratis, yeah, this is year 6. We've had a decent amount of sample sizes. We're talking about 2 World Cup qualifying cycles and a major tournament. And you know what? I am glad that this isn't working, because you know what's going to happen, y'all? If these Brazilian and Argentine and Cote d'Ivoire players start winning things for the UAE, oh, it's done. Oh, football is absolutely cooked. And the cooking is going to start in the Gulf. And the rest of these West Asian teams are going to unleash their limitless bank accounts into recruiting as many of these 20, 21-year-old players, mainly Brazilian and Argentines, to come over, get citizenship, and get fast-tracked into the national team. While countries like Bahrain and Oman are not necessarily great at football, I do truly have a respect for them not going down this hyper-naturalization pathway. They are trying to play an 11 of Bahraini and Omani citizens. They're not just trying to buy success by getting in a bunch of other players, and I respect that. But if the UAE start being too successful, at some point, everybody's going to do this. And it's not going to stop with Bahrain and Oman. It's going to happen to any country that has wealth, basically. And you know what? The big boy who's going to participate in this is probably going to be Saudi Arabia, with all the investment into the Saudi Pro League. Because for people who don't know, basically how they're pulling this off is they're essentially going and finding, 20, typically very late teen, but early 20-year-old Brazilian and South American guys, and paying them a huge salary to come over, with the promise that after 5 years, you'll be able to represent the national team. That's how they're convincing them to come over. Which, very quickly, from the side of an Emirati fan, like, how do you guys feel about this? Does it not bother you that these guys genuinely do not give a shit about your country whatsoever? They're probably not culturally assimilated. How many of them are fluent in Arabic after 6, 7, 8 years in the country? They are mercenaries. You are paying mercenaries to wear your country's kit at a World Cup. Is that really filling you with pride? Why? Why does this give you pride? For me, I would be so ashamed. I really would. I would be embarrassed. I would be embarrassed if this was happening. The point of international football is to have a physical embodiment and representation of everything in the country. Economy, cultural factors, play style, language, temperament, everything is supposed to be wrapped up into those 11 guys that go out there and play a sport. That's what international football is. And if you have 8 out of 11 guys speaking Portuguese as their first language, maybe they don't even know another language, and they're wearing your kit, they're not representing you. The sun has gone down, but I'm going to keep spitting, and I'm going to end the video by talking about Qatar very quickly, because they are not only the UAE's arch rival, but arguably the first domino that started this whole freaking naturalization process to begin with. And I'll say, my 2 quick fixes for this, I have option 1, option 2, you guys pick down below. Option 1, you have a maximum of 3 naturalized players in the entire pool. Period. Or maybe not in the entire pool, in the entire call-up. 3 players. So choose wisely. The other option is you get to naturalize 2 players every single World Cup cycle. So hypothetically, after 3 cycles, you could have 6 naturalized players in the team. that would at least slow it down. And also, you would probably slow it down so much that these teams wouldn't do it so much, and you wouldn't be able to abuse it. Let me know if you like option 1 or 2 better. But I feel like with Qatar, at least what they tend to do with guys like Akram Afif, who's their greatest ever player, maybe the greatest Asian player of all time, is he was born in Qatar, firstly. His dad's Tanzanian, his mom's Yemeni, but he was trained in the Aspire Academy. And the Aspire Academy's importance to Qatari football cannot be overstated. It is extremely, I mean, it basically built the super team that they had from 2019 to 2023. That Qatari team was built on the back of the Aspire Academy while training guys like Almoz Ali, who's Sudanese, who moved to Qatar as kids, as teenagers, but at least their footballing education was Qatari. So I'm honestly pretty okay with that. Like, if a guy's born in France and at 10 years old, he moves to the UAE and his entire footballing education is Emirati, I got no problem with that because you're bought into the culture. Your play style is a representation of the Emirati footballing paradigm, pyramid, whatever. The P word. So for that reason, I would be okay with it. But it seems like with the UAE, yeah, like I said, all these guys these are full adults. I did turn on the light because that was starting to look really bad, and this doesn't look much better, but it's okay. I think we've reached the end of the video here. I have nothing personally against the UAE, and in fact, there's quite a few Emirati players that I really, really like, and they're one of the biggest losers in this entire thing. Yahya Al-Ghassani, Kharib Abdullah, Sultan up top. These are guys that should absolutely be starting for the national team. They're a country of birth, their own people, and they don't even get to play because their coach, Cosmin, is obsessed with South Americans who don't even play well when they get a chance in the team. It sucks for the country. It sucks for the fans. It sucks for the youth players. It sucks for the senior players who deserve more playing time, and they can't get it because there is going to be this foreign player bias because, oh, he's Brazilian. He must be really good. Well, if he was really good, he would have freaking stayed, mate. Anyways, I feel like the polar opposite of the UAE is Uzbekistan, and that's really the model that should be followed. And it's not like the UAE doesn't have the money. I mean, of course they have the money. They could copy the Uzbek model right now. They just don't want to. They don't want to be patient. They don't want to play the waiting game. They don't even want to give their actually really talented players opportunities. Kharib Abdullah, guys, got benched for both games in round 5. I can't even believe it. It's really, really disappointing to just see the fabric of this national team eroded in half a decade. And honestly, I'm praying that they don't qualify. I'm praying that this fails so that this is reversed. And that, for the next qualification cycle and beyond, we're going to see, instead of 8 foreign-born players, we're going to see 8 Emiratis in the starting 11. That is the video, guys. You let me know what you think down below in the comments. If you enjoyed, smash the like button. Apologies for the 3 different lighting setups in this video. Again, if you guys want to see more videos about Asian football and other current events inside the footballing world, make sure you are subscribed. Smash the like button if you enjoyed, and I'll see you on the next one.